Welcome to Bullets Per Minute. Grab your gun, grab your headphones, we're going to Helheim to kill a fucking dragon and wear his ass as a hat. Bullets Per Minute is a game all about descending from Asgard, killing enemies, bosses, and increasing how deadly you are while grooving to a rock soundtrack. Essentially, Bullets Per Minute is a rogue-like, Quake Doom style shooter with a rhythm game gimmick on top of it. Made by Awe Interactive, a small indie team. It originally piqued my interest for a video I'd planned on making about good shooters having a rhythm to them a couple of years ago, and Bullets Per Minute is a damn good example of this principle. Story. Bruh, we back in the 90s, fuck your story, we're here to kill some goddamn monsters. This game is entirely focused on the gameplay and the gameplay loop, rather than shoving a story in. I think this was a good idea, as the story would have taken away from the flow of the game and would have made the loop quite annoying, as you'd be stopping for these cutscenes or story parts all the time. Straight away, this game has a learning curve. If you play a lot of shooters, you're used to firing quickly and accurately. You can't do that here, and it'll take a little while to adapt to shooting in rhythm rather than quickly. But once you're in the rhythm, the game is damn fun. If you're like me and have no sense of rhythm, these bars on the screen are your beats and half beats, so you can time your stuff to it. You can also adjust settings to make the timing easier. When you boot up the game, you have one character to choose. When you beat the game for the first time, you unlock a second character, which changes the game up a little. The rest of the characters have different unlock requirements and bring new ways to play the game. There's 10 characters in total to unlock. Starting simple, then expanding. Your first run, you'll start with an 8-shot pistol running through rooms of enemies, killing them all to clear the room and move on to the next, until you reach the boss. You kill the boss and then go on to the next world. Each level's layout and rooms are randomly generated. Each world brings in new enemies to fight, and in later runs will mix and match enemies from all worlds. You repeat this cycle until you reach the final boss. Put a bullet in its dragon skull and you've successfully completed the run, getting rewarded with your first permanent spell for your character to use every run. Now, expanding. As you go through fighting enemies, you'll collect coins, keys, stat increases, and equipment. Every time you clear a room, a chest will spawn with a random reward. The coins you collect from killing enemies in chests are used at vendors to buy items, in gambling rooms, at statues for random items, and to permanently equip items to your character if you're lucky enough to find a prestige room. Keys are used to open doors, chests, and at a devil statue to get a random item. All of this is used to make you more powerful as you go through the run. Every room will have one additional thing to add to you, but at the cost of keys, coins, or your health. For example, these sword altars can give you something useful, but at the cost of 25 health or armor, adding a risk versus reward to the game. That key will open the last chest for you, which could have a useful bit of equipment, or something you hate. Is it worth the risk of taking one of your 4 hits just to get that key? You'll also have statues to give you increases to one of your 6 stats. At stores, you can buy new guns or equipment, like a helmet that gives explosive shots, gloves that allow you to fly, or a shield that regenerates health, allowing you to take one hit every few seconds. There's 63 pieces of equipment to mix and match to your playstyle. In addition to this, there's 30 spells to help change up your playstyle and change the tide of battle, ranging from an explosive AoE attack to a freeze spell that works on bosses to spawning money from nowhere. Some statues and chests can only be gotten if you have the equipment or a spell that allows you to fly or get to difficult areas, making exploration another part of the experience. All this choice adds a layer of overall strategy to your run as you make choices about what you take and leave. Getting exploration equipment early might pay off and double your options later, or it could leave you underpowered and having to deal with far more intense fights. This also extends to the meta progression of the game. Upon completing the game for the first time, you unlock a new character, but there's also other characters you unlock by doing certain actions. Banking 100 coins unlocks Gary, completing the game on hard unlocks Oda, and each of these characters change up how you play via their different loadouts and spells. This makes some runs a decision of maximizing your chance at victory or making progress towards certain characters. The meta progress also unlocks more items being at vendors, spells for each character, a secret room, and once you've beaten the game on hard, 4 trial modifiers will spawn at the start of your run, if you want to make the game tougher for yourself. On a side note, I couldn't find anything to confirm, but as I made more progress through my various runs, it felt like new rooms were starting to spawn. For example, the crypt entrance, which essentially gave a bonus level to complete, which kind of cheapens the uniqueness, but it does keep the gameplay loop fresh. Overall, I really enjoy the mechanics. The roguelike elements add a level of strategy every run through, while the new characters and cross-character progression add to the game's replayability. If you don't like difficult games and playing the same thing over and over, this is not the game for you. However, moving on to enemies. They vary in design enough to be interesting, but I kind of forget about them because I was too busy shooting the flying insects or bats that were the result of 90% of my deaths. Because in the world of minotaurs and scorpion ladies, apparently the spit of bats and bugs is the greatest threat of all. Really, it's because enough of these damn things combined with later game enemies turn this into a minor bullet hell. Like a bullet heck, or a bullet darn. Fuck you, I thought it was funny. Overall, the enemies look unique and are fun to shoot at, but they are a bit basic in the way they fight. The rooms are pretty varied in their design, but most lack any kind of cover, resulting in constant side strafing. The rooms where you have pillars or higher platforms to use for breathing room are really fun, especially when you get a variety of enemies that fight in different ways. I'd really appreciate it if the devs decide to do some more playtesting and rework their room spawns. Somehow, the first boss is the most difficult in the game, and has fucked me up more than any other boss. Partially, it's his attack that requires you to dodge at the right time, as they do damage to half the fucking room. Partially, it's due to the room's design, where you can get stuck on a pillar when trying to dodge. Otherwise, outside this arsehole here, the bosses are pretty well balanced and fun to beat. But on that note, these shield enemies are the biggest cunts in the games. These three arseholes have ended more runs for me than the fucking dragon, because I couldn't get through their shields or I'd fuck up my timing. Obviously, this game has gone for a unique look, with a highly stylized approach to the levels and enemies, characters and weapons, because although it's Norse mythology, we have sci-fi weapons. They gave me a grenade launcher, so I'm not going to complain. However, just throw out anything that you know about Norse mythology, because they will not follow it. In fact, you fight a massive samurai as a mini-boss. But, the most notable stylistic choice is the color filter for each level and the super high saturation. And for 7 of the levels, it looks really good and unique. However, Svartalheim, I cannot pronounce that, fucking sucks for me. As you can see in this footage, it's blue. I had to give them props for this. In the options, they allow you to change the color and saturation levels for each world, which is great. Because personally, I struggle to focus and identify the color red, it's why I can't use red dot sights in shooters very well. However, no matter which color I tried, this world's design just blends together, making it hard to identify enemies from the room itself. Overall, this game's skeleton is pretty bare bones, but it's been done well enough, but its core is a damn fun game that I kept coming back to. Fundamentally, it doesn't matter if a game looks great or is complicated, it matters if it's fun, and this is a fun game. I recommend Bullets Per Minute if you're chasing a unique roguelite shooter that is purely focused on mechanics and nothing else. Sorry about the overall quality here, but I have been busy working for the last 2 months, my real work, and I wanted to get a video out on the channel. There is more content coming. I have 4 different videos scripted and ready to produce. I'm just putting this one out quickly. I have a commentary coming up. Don't worry, this is in the works. This is a little bit rushed to try and make sure that there is something on the channel and we're moving forward. I hope you enjoyed the video. Have a good one.